Here we have an update on digital insecurity. This is more specific to Microsoft and its advances, but we have a little bit of Amazon tucked in there too. Quite a bit coming out tonight. So let's take a peek at this as we get moving forward here. So this came out in March of 2020. Microsoft is transforming the way it fights security threats. The Microsoft Digital Security and Resilience DSR team is committed to protecting customer and employee data every day. This was at the RSA conference, one of the largest cybersecurity conferences in the United States and globally. This is underpinned by a zero trust strategy, supported by new analysis methods for identity compromise and reinforced by security training and awareness campaigns. Zero trust for the real world. There are 7 billion devices connected to the internet, and 60% of organizations have a formal bring your own device, BYOD program in place. The way we work has also changed. A zero trust product marketing lead at Microsoft said, with the emergence of a mobile workforce, cloud technology, and ubiquitous access to information, it has become more and more challenging to protect corporate data. Could you imagine the nightmares when companies shut down and IT sent everybody home? And I'll mention this time and again. The individuals who head up digital and cybersecurity are not the same people as the IT team. You know, the people, well, anyways, everything hit the fan on the digital security side when they realized people were going to work from their homes now. Yes, we've had telework and we've had hybrid schedules before, but on this massive level, you can just imagine all of the vulnerabilities that were exposed and all the hacks that we haven't even heard about yet. The way we work has changed forever, and it's opened so many holes, big and small. And when a BYOD device, that means anybody can attach their cell phone into their work computer, and the whole world is now open. Because how many people even think of putting security on their phones? Very few go that extra step. So we have to validate an employee's identity and device health before giving them access to the files that they need. As threats evolve, we have to pivot to protect customer data. It's huge. Cloud-powered compromise blast analysis. You can just go on and on and on and find out more about this. But this was a Microsoft stab at really grabbing hold of the changing environment. And this was March of 2020. So between March 13th and March 16th of 2020 is when the world shut down in the United States, and California pivoted from maybe there's a problem to don't open or you're going to be arrested. So this is March 13th, before everybody knew what the next few days would bring. And here we have, this is from Business Journals, cybersecurity firm with Lenexa office will sell to Microsoft. That means an acquisition. Okay, cybersecurity firm RiskIQ, which has an office in Lenexa, has a definitive agreement to sell to Microsoft. This article was written by Leslie Collins, and San Francisco-based cybersecurity firm has signed a definitive agreement to sell to Microsoft. Bloomberg reports that the deal is worth about $500 million. Now, for all of you who also have ambitions of building starting from a startup and selling it off, the funds cycle in the same family. If you want to be a part of that family, you need to get funding through Sand Hill Row, Palo Alto. You need to be invested in that network. Now, some of them have left into other states, but they're still tied investments through Sand Hill Row. That's where it goes. Because Sand Hill Row are the early investors in the big companies, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, you name it, they're all the core funds took there. So if you're going to dig deep into their pockets, they want to make sure it cycles back through, that they get the marketing portion, that their employees are hired. It's all one big cycle. So I'd be willing to bet that this $500 million deal was penciled out before the company even started. It would be interesting to dig into RiskIQ. And as I've showed before, the way to get to RiskIQ, although it's really clamped down over the last year, is to take a look on Crunchbase. Crunchbase.com gives you who the investors are, and you can follow the money. But this is, again, Microsoft moving to the next level there. How about March 16th, 2021? Omar Abash, Corporate Vice President across Industry Solutions today, excited to announce Microsoft has acquired the Marston Group, a leader in industrial technology innovation and rapid prototyping. The first chapter of digital transformation was heavily oriented toward consumer-focused industries. Here we go. Here's the article. The newer opportunity in infrastructure, manufacturing, and resources is enormous. So they're going after hardware and infrastructure of sorts, migrating their software, a bigger stronghold. We know to see an increased pace of digital change across many industries, and we believe that velocity is here to stay. As more and more companies recognize they must commit to continuous innovation to compete over the long run. This acquisition will further enhance Microsoft's ability to create new customer value through experimentation and deep industry solutions based on Microsoft Cloud, Edge, and AI products. So this is the link that I am talking about here. In order to substantiate the strength that they're bringing to the table, they had to make a move. And as part of the piece of the puzzle here for their AI products and cloud is to do acquisitions in this level. Now, back around before the .com, I worked with a number of top corporations throughout the Western United States. And if we look at something like Excite at Home, which was a major search engine prior to Yahoo, they were acquiring about 40 would be low, 63 would be about the sweet spot for them a month. That's how many companies they were picking up a month, and they would gut them. They didn't necessarily want the companies, they just didn't want the competition. So we're going to see a lot more of this as Microsoft and Amazon move forward, who they're picking up to grow with as for the technology, and who they're picking up to make go away, disappear. Now, I wanted to bring this up. A Facebook engineer abused access to user data to track down a woman who had left their hotel room after they fought on a vacation, a new book says. You know, there's some not a lot of strength in this, but this was 10 hours ago, Business Insider on MSN.com. But what I wanted to look at here is Facebook fired 52 people from 2014 to 2015 for abusing access to user data, this book alleges. One person reportedly used the information this way: changes to retention of such data were antithetical to Mark's DNA, one employee told the authors. But what I wanted to look at, so this is 52 people over that, you know, so this is like a 18-month period or so, 18, you know, a little over a year and a half there. We're looking at maybe 20 months. I'll take a peek at this. 56,000 full-time employees. This is a very, very small number out of this group, especially since we know that Facebook opens up their API so that startups and other companies can plug directly into their system, scrape off the data, as long as they're using it for product improvement or helping people out on the Facebook platform or whatever box they want to check. The information is Facebook is taking your data and creating highways to many corporations. And yet here, 52 employees took the data individually. Now that's wrong. That's not ethical. But there is nothing about Facebook that's ethical. And I'd also be willing to state that probably these individuals were not Facebook employees, but were, meaning an FTE full-time equivalent with benefits and a longevity. If you dig into the story further, they were probably contract workers with no benefits whatsoever, no backing with the company. They were hired and they're disposable, and they took something out of the system that they shouldn't have taken. Again, not okay what they did, but this story is completely out of place in this day of age. And Facebook is not a company I would stand up for. Okay, and here we have, this just blows me away. This again on MSN.com, and this is Marie Bachman 10 hours ago. Oregon bans real estate plea letters. Will other states follow? So we've all been there at some point where you want to buy a home and maybe you just don't have the couple $1 million of cash on hand. And maybe you're in a market and you just are not going to be able to overbid by $400,000. Or the scenario, it can shift a little bit. But it's been rough to buy homes in many areas for quite a while. So one thing that's very common is a realtor will ask the family that wants to buy it, or the individual wants to buy it, to write a little letter about themselves and why this house would mean something to them. Essentially, what they want to do is here, this is calling it a love letter, but they're saying, I am so and so, and this is my past, and I would be a great candidate for your home because I'm not looking to buy it and flip it. Rather, my family would like a home to live in, and we've been bidding on properties in this neighborhood and we keep missing out. So we would appreciate it if possible if you would accept our bid, even though it's not all cash. The bank has approved our loan and you will get the money within the 30-day period, which is the norm. And that's just an example, but this is common. However, for some reason, along with all the other democratic nonsense that we're getting, they can't do this anymore. And they made it up that this would give an unfair advantage. And the reason why is absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes plea letters can reveal personal information. Of course, that's what they're all about. But that could potentially lead to discrimination based on factors like gender, religion, race. Really, this is what the letters are about. They're banning plea letters to take all that information off the table and force sellers to accept or reject based on the financial data alone. This is the same issue. Those who have money win, those who do not have a voice. So the question here is, will more states ban plea letters as well? Absolutely inexcusable, taking away the voice. You can't write a letter to anybody anymore. Keep moving on here. So what else did we pull up? Okay, here's another digital security. This was 11 years ago. This again happens to be on MSN. This is what I'm getting fed now. These Iranian hackers posed as academics in a bid to steal email passwords. So how did this gig work? Why Iranian hacking operations could be a threat to your network. An Iranian cyber espionage campaign used spoofed identities of real academics at a UK university in phishing attacks designed to steal password details of experts in Middle Eastern affairs from university think tanks and the media. So let's tear that apart. Of course, spoofed identities, they would make the email address look like it was coming from somewhere familiar, in this case, probably directly from the university, even though it really wasn't. It might be something like university.com is the address, and instead they left out one of the letters and your eye doesn't quite catch it. So maybe it's an STY instead of an SITY, and it's spoofed, and they just hope you don't see it. And then within it, there's a phishing tactic where they're trying to get you to take an action. And it's designed in this case to steal passwords. And they went after the knowledge at universities, and also individuals at universities that probably have jobs in major corporations that they could continue to track. Think tanks, organizations who are going to come up with the next level of intelligence and technology, and of course throughout the media. Detailed by cybersecurity researchers at Proofpoint. Proofpoint's it's headquartered in Santa Clara, California, who dubbed it Operation Spoof Scholars. The campaign also compromised a university-affiliated website in an effort to deliver personalized credential harvesting pages to targets under the guise of inviting them to speak in a webinar. Proofpoint researchers have linked the phishing campaign to an APT, which is Advanced Persistent Threat group that they refer to, TA453, also known as Charming Kitten and Phosphorus. These are state-backed intelligence gathering operations working on behalf of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, a branch of the Iranian armed forces. The attackers used a Gmail address designed to look like they belonged to a genuine academics at the University of London School of Oriental and African Studies, exploiting trust in the names of real staff. If you want more information, of course, that's there, but there's another example of be careful with the emails you receive. Make sure you check the URL they're coming from. And if you're not expecting it or you don't know it, don't be curious, just move on. Okay, here's another one we've got here. This is a huge, huge, huge win. We have been writing letters for months now demanding that they start following the law. California reverses ban on maskless students. If your child did not put a muting mechanism over their mouth to shut up and sit in the corner or shut up and sit in that desk, then they did not have a right to an education. California decided to backpedal a little bit. So this is NBC News. California health officials on Monday issued a statewide policy for the upcoming academic year that would have barred students from school campuses if they refused to wear masks, only to backtrack on the ban hours later. The California Department of Public Health published its guidance for K through 12 schools Monday afternoon. These people should still lose their jobs, mandating that students wear face coverings indoors and stating that schools must exclude students from campus if they do not comply. Nazi Germany once again, directing them to offer such students alternative educational opportunities like reform school or taking them away from their parents. There goes Child Protective Services. But by Monday evening, oh, a bright idea came upon these young lads. The department said in a tweet that it would clarify its masking enforcement guidance, recognizing local schools' experience in keeping students and educators safe while ensuring schools fully reopen for in-person instruction. Nice backpedal. The LA Times reported that the department planned to drop the wording about excluding students. California public health officials did not immediately confirm to the NBC News, but they said they would leave it up to local school officials on how to enforce mask mandates, as was the case last year. They added that that does not mean schools have discretion on whether to require masks. There's a loop back. Both students and adults alike are expected to wear masks inside California schools this year. Last week, after the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued new guidance for schools that permit fully vaccinated students to go maskless, California health officials said they were still keeping their mask mandates in place regardless of vaccination status. That puts California among the strictest states when it comes to communism. Whoa. Schools and mask wearing. There is actually a group of individuals who, I kid you not, spent their time creating a digital platform that tracks mask mandates. Fewer than a dozen states still have laws that require masks in schools at the state level. Others, such as Arizona, have gone so far as to ban school mask mandates altogether. The whiplash with the guidance in California comes as the contagious Delta variant. You know, they got to throw these lies in. Enough with it. It could be the beta, zeta, delta, gamma, and we're done with it. Done. Absolutely done. Let our kids be free and stop the child abuse. Okay, here I want to take a corner here on a really stupid idea. You know, at some point, you just got to call it what it is. This is tablet news. This was June 21st, 2012. But the reason I pulled that up is the advertisements on the radio and on Twitter are starting to come out strong with the same idea. Want to have fun with a Siri-like app on your Windows PC? Now you can. If you've ever considered using Siri, the voice assistant from Apple on your PC, on your Windows PC, then you may want to try this one-of-a-kind solution, part of Project Siri Win. Well, what's going on now? We have Alexa on PCs. And Amazon Alexa for PC, powered by Intel. Let's see what we've got here. Why is it how to connect Alexa to your computer? Anyways, here's the steps, but that's not my point. With all that we're learning about digital security and protecting ourselves and privacy options and what we don't have, why do we want to commingle and have Alexa on our computer? Come on, we gotta start waking up. And as we move back to what we have over here, Amazon versus Microsoft in the largest cloud contract on the planet to scrape up surveillance of its own citizens. And just like the Ring doorbell, just like the various Alexa devices you can put throughout your home for music, it's just music that listens in on your conversations. And just like that brilliant idea that Amazon announced last fall and somehow didn't quite make it out in production by January, the little drone that flies around inside your house while you're asleep at night to protect you. No, these are not good ideas. What this is Minority Report, except for you're buying it and bringing it in your own home. No. Connecting Alexa to your computer. Using Alexa to answer your questions in your computer. Enough with the shiny objects. But here's a really good idea. 1 hour ago, Washington Post. DeSantis sells, well, you can read it there, merchandise sales. And of course, they got to put this tagline in the bottom because that's not true either. But that is funny. Good for you. You know, you got to find laughter where you can. Fox News host Tucker Carlson suggested that he should be criminally investigated, and Republican members of Congress introduced the Fire Fauci Act to remove his salary. This guy is the highest, not DeSantis, but Mr. F here is the highest paid government employee as far as we could research, with earnings of over $800,000 a year annually. Plus, he has his finger in every investment ahead of the SEC. Plus, he has set up patent rules so that if any of these pharmaceuticals want to have patents move forward, he and his cronies, I mean office peers, get a percentage of the profit year over year. Fauci has become one of the wealthiest men in America And he's just a civil servant, just a humble civil servant. Now, White House medical advisor, Mr. F, a polarizing figure in the U.S. response to the cooties, is also part of the rising GOP star's political branding. Don't F my Florida. You can get these on drink koozies and t-shirts. The Florida Governor Ron DeSantis campaign team rolled out just as his state seems, which is not true here. New and so there you go. You want some merch? It's coming out in all directions. So at least we can round this on a happy note. Grab a beer and throw this on there while you're walking around with the shirt. At least you'll get some laughs too. So here we go. This has been some rough and some funny digital insecurity updates. This kind of ponied off the report we did earlier on Amazon and versus Microsoft and the Pentagon Cloud. And as I pointed out, Microsoft is getting more and more aggressive about their acquisitions, mostly private until they then there's full disclosure. So we'll hear about them much later than the actual acquisition. But as they move to ramp up in a space that they just don't have the strength themselves. And Amazon inches their way in to be a more permanent fixture directly into the personal laptops that we all have in our homes. Okay, digital insecurity. Pay attention, don't follow the shiny object, and keep smiling. We can see the tides are turning.